Alrighty, let's talk about photo gear. This is some of the hardest decisions for people is what do I bring photo gear wise to Africa. I'm going to show you what I bring. Obviously it's kind of a personal thing, so I'll just let you know what I bring and why, and you still have to make your own decision, but please feel free to contact me directly and we'll just talk about it. Alright, but I bring 2 camera bodies and I think that's a must when you're in the field. You're spending a ton of money to go to Africa and cameras fail, something goes wrong, you know, and then if this is your only body, you're really, you know, it's going to be a tough trip. So even if it's a second body that you're not too keen about using, you know, it's an entry-level camera, but at least if you have a failure, you're going to enjoy using that camera. So bring 2 camera bodies. As far as lenses, I bring a wide angle. This is a 24 to 105. Some people like to go wider than that, so that's your prerogative, but there are some nice scenic possibilities in Africa, so wide angle. This is kind of a workhorse lens, and this is the Canon 1:400 IS, and really doesn't matter what brand of camera you're shooting. But this size telephoto, once again 100-400, is a great lens for Africa, and so a lot of people find it to be kind of the perfect lens. It's not heavy, it's easy to handhold, and you were photographing large mammals, so this tends to be a good lens. I don't bring the 1:400 just for space, because I'm bringing a 300-2.8, which is kind of heavy, and I'm trying to limit how much I'm bringing. So I bring a 300-2.8, and I also bring the 600 f4. Great for birds, great for those portraits. And this is a lens though, it takes a lot of experience to use a big lens. And if you haven't used a 5 or 600, I don't recommend getting it a week before you go and expecting to be happy, because it's frustrating. It's hard to use something this heavy, and it can be distracting to everyone else in the vehicle if you're not kind of on top of how to use something like this. So, you know, only bring a big lens if you know how to use it. Otherwise, I would really recommend bringing something like the 1:400 for the majority of people going to Africa with me. You know, you don't need to bring the big stuff. This is going to do the job really well. Another piece of equipment, the teleconverter. If you have a prime lens, that's a nice bright prime lens, 300-2.8, 300 f4, 400-2.8, 500 f4, 600 f4. This is a great extra piece of glass that's going to increase your magnification. It's small, but don't forget to bring it, all right? And tripods. A lot of people are going to ask about tripods. Now, before I get into tripods, if you're bringing a 1:400, it's a great hand-holdable lens. You don't need a tripod. The last thing you want to do is bring something you don't need or you're not going to use. If you are bringing a bigger lens, like a 500 or 600 millimeter lens, then I recommend bringing a tripod. These vehicles don't have a lot of places to rest a lens. So bring a tripod. I bring a really small tripod because once again, we're sitting in a vehicle. So you don't need a big, you know, huge tripod. So I bring a small tripod. For the 500 or 600, I do use a gimbal style Wimberley head. So this goes on here. It's kind of heavy. Some of you might get away with a ball head, but a nice small tripod rig. Once again, you're sitting down, you're not standing. So another piece of advice, a little point and shoot. This is brand new. I've had this for a couple years, but it's new for me in my shooting career. You know, for 20 years, I've never had a small little camera. And because I haven't had a small camera, a lot of times I'm not taking people pictures, and I'm not taking pictures of signs or the lodges or things where you just want to pull a camera out and take a picture. Because a lot of times our big cameras have big lenses on them and it's too difficult. This has been really fun. I've never enjoyed the opportunity like I have the last couple of years to take people pictures, and it shoots great video. This is a Canon S90 and I love it. It's just a great little point and shoot, and I use this a lot. One day, no more big cameras, just the little camera. And I think that's it. Let's go into a little bit about cards, memory cards. You're shooting digital, most of you. Please bring a good amount of these. I'm bringing probably 4 to 6 16 gig cards. Now, if you're shooting JPEGs, you don't need that much, but still, bring a couple 8 gigs at least. That way, in case you're downloading something with your computer or you're downloading workflow gets interrupted, you can still store a lot of pictures on your compact flash or your SD cards. I do recommend for Africa to bring a hard drive for downloading all your images. They're really cheap nowadays, 500 gigs, 1 terabyte. I said 500, yeah, 500 gigabytes or 1 terabyte is maybe 100, 150 bucks. So a lot of images can go on here. Africa is not a place that you're gonna really skimp on taking pictures. You're gonna take thousands and thousands and thousands of pictures. So you need a place to put them. So have a hard drive and lots of cards. And I think that's really it for gear. I mean, it's very simplistic, but if you have any specific questions, please just email me or call me and we'll talk about your specific situation for gear.